Hi, I'm Barry John, and welcome back to Let's Play Ratchet and Clank. With me, I have two co-heroes, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Discendo Vox.
And I'm Speedball, and we're on planet Orxon now.
So, Orxon returns a gimmick from the Blarg station in which, well, Ratchet can't breathe, so Clank has to go out by himself.
I tend to find the use of this gimmick, even from the first game in the series, it was clearly intended as a parallel approach to basic gameplay. And it kind of works, but it's always difficult because of the mobility issues that you have with base gameplay with Ratchet. With Ratchet, just get worse when you're Clank on his own, visibly moving slower.
They have to basically redesign the entire game flow around Clank being slower, having only a bare minimum melee attack, and yeah, it's his lack of mobility that really affects how gameplay goes through this game.
You'd think he'd be able to fly since it's just him and not the added weight of Ratchet, but, gameplay limitations.
I've always been curious about whether or not the Gadgetbot system, which did show up in later entries, was intended to have more depth or broader uses, because in practice it never becomes very complex.
No, it never really does, but they do, the Gadgetbots here are also a weapon for Ratchet later on, with the Glove of Doom, I believe, where he can throw out a half dozen of these little guys in attack mode.
As it stands right now, they mostly serve as sort of a logic gate. Oh, you need X number of Gadgetbots to cross this room.
This is me just looking here. Can I make that jump up there? No. Can I make this jump over here? Barely.
Oh yeah, and then you can just pull them right over.
Well, sometimes there is a limit to the range that Ratchet or Clank can command the Gadgetbots. And just that little section so far, because we're cycling around to this first question mark, and then we'll be back to do another pass with Clank after this.
You can also feel the linearity that comes with the limited moveset available in these sections. Clank sections almost always feel claustrophobic compared to the Ratchet material. You don't get the vistas, you don't get the hub and spoke exploration.
No. Also, the map, like the position of the camera to follow Clank through these levels is much lower than Ratchet's camera, which adds to that sort of you're a small person in a big area type deal.
Yeah, I do think they actually wind up moving the camera up for these when you were in similar segments in later games. At least a little bit.
Well, to be fair, it's not always that. You also have the case of... do I really want to pull these out? Oh, might as well, because it demonstrates a thing. But, yeah, when we get to Giant Clank later on, the camera pulls way back for that. I miss Giant Clank.
There too, the set of options for the Giant Clank are kind of limiting.
Yeah. It looks like a Lego minifig now that I think about it.
That's certainly one way about it. But yeah, Clank's mini... they're not even full levels. They're like mini segments. They act more like puzzle pieces than action platformers.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if this would sort of fit an arousal format where you're getting these segments after particularly intense combat gameplay.
Actually, I also think this is one of the reasons why Secret Agent Clank wasn't so well received. was because, like, Clank has always established himself as more of the puzzle solver, the more, like, intellectual side of things, and when it came to action, that was Ratchet's thing. So trying to make Clank here the quote-unquote action hero just didn't really work.
I mean, I think we also have to acknowledge that you're not exactly seeing mind-breaking puzzles in this game, or in any of the Ratchet and Clank games, really.
No. Except for the 6-axis controller puzzles, but let's not talk about those. And again, like, the lack of hand-holding in terms of this game's level design. Like, you're not told anything about what's going on, but you can still puzzle out, like, what needs to be done to advance.
Yeah, there's no conveyance for that weight. We'll call it a puzzle that just happened, for example. Absolutely none.
Mm-hmm. But by context, you can figure it out. And the passage through the doors, the moving around the doors, is taught to players as they go along. Of course, got to vacuum up every last little bolt because I'll need... No, I won't need them at the end because, well, I'm going to use the infinite bolts glitch.
I guess one advantage that these segments have over the main gameplay segments is just you're not having to worry about balance of enemy health and player damage in the way that you do in the main game, which is sort of the other big constraint that the Ratchet and Clank games routinely run into once you get to mid to late game.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, Clank only has the 4 hit points, even if Ratchet gets the upgrades later on.
Yeah, in some ways it would be interesting to see an approach to core design with the pair in gun combat, which had a more row of explosives there, which had a more explicitly designed format, so you didn't feel quite as much of the push toward tanking and increasing damage that you do in these games.
Oh, especially in the later games where, like, the health damage dichotomy just goes completely bonkers.
Well, I mean, that was true, at least from Ratchet and Clank 2, even. You had, by the time you got to the late levels, enemies were colossal wells of HP, even if it didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. But in this game, the low health and damage actually works towards tight gameplay in terms of... untangle my brain there for a second. Because you know that Ratchet or Clank's only going to take 1 point of damage per hit, you can scale encounters around that.
Absolutely.
But the mag boots.
These Magna Boots are a device designed for climbing special metal surfaces. However, your feet appear to be too small to equip them.
And not heading back to Ratchet yet. I'm just going to head up and take this other path to deal with to get the Pokitaru infobot. But
one other feature in this game that you sort of stop seeing in later entries is obstacles and traps that have a degree of dynamism to them that you can't just destroy.
Mm-hmm. There's also, like, environmental traps and whatnot, but the inclusion of the explosive barrels in there makes trying to disarm them or go around them much more difficult. And of course, running around here is an interesting thing because of the semi-random nature of where the explosions from above fall. And I totally meant to show off what happens when one of your Gadgetbot dies and you have to go back to the respawn point for it.
That sounds like a hassle.
It can be, especially during my rerun of this level after my previous computer died. I actually lost a couple. I was trying to do some quick running techniques to get through here, and I lost a couple in this room, so I had to go back and recollect them all.
I just plain don't think we get anything that looks quite as cool as this in later games.
No. These little... Like, what are these random electrical thingies running across the floor? Who knows? Who cares? They're there.
They're there, and they produce a form of gameplay you don't see.
Sorry, just looking around, keeping an eye on where the ramps are, because, well, the little Gadgetbots can't jump, so I have to be careful in choosing my path.
You can see how, just with a couple of additional elements, just the mechanics shown off in this room could practically be a game unto itself.
Mm-hmm. Because that just reinforces that Clank is more of a puzzle solver, whereas Ratchet is the action-type character.
I've never actually tested how long the range is for being able to send your Gadgetbots into a entrance like that. I think it might practically just be if you're on the same platform on screen.
Yeah, I think it's the command radius for Clank here. But I mean, the attack command goes a lot of places, like just firing attacks out here and just watching them run away.
Before, when it was just us alone punching things, it wasn't all that compelling, but now it's practically more like Pikmin, and that's where things can start to get really interesting. I haven't said much until now, because I wanted Vox to do most of the talking. But kind of makes me think there were only a few other games that had Pikmin-like gameplay. I can think maybe Overlord, which was pretty much exactly just Pikmin, but with imps.
Yeah, after this we had the Double Fine heavy metal themed game, trying to remember the name.
Brutal Legend, because that had Jack Black in it.
Yeah, that was more of a strategy game disguised as an action game.
Well, it was originally intended to be like a multiplayer game as well.
Yeah,
literally the battle of the bands.
Exactly.
And you can see how you could do some of the same things with the mechanics developed here.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like, I agree there. Like, just thinking about the idea about using your Gadgetbots in a Pikmin-type manner, that is something that could have been done, but it would have... I don't know if the core gameplay loop would have supported that, really.
Yeah, I never actually played Secret Agent Clank, so I can't comment on whether or not it did that.
I've got it over here. I should just pop it in my PSP and just replay it just for familiarity's sake.
This one.
Oh no! A mystery.
Just remember, Ratchet and Clank are not exactly cooperating at this point. And yes, he just collected a couple of rockets for Ratchet.
Uh-huh. I'll give him the deadly weapon, but not this information.
Hey! You giving me these or not?
They are magnetic. I appear to be stuck to them.
Oh.
Bit of a texture glitch on the bottom of the boots there.
No, that's just PlayStation 2 glitches.
Metal filings. Dust.
You know what I mean. What is it?
I will show you this, but you must promise to stay focused on our missions.
Is it something about Quark?
Cities are full of smog, swamps are full of muck, and tar pits are full of tar. But here at Joe I Resort, the sun shines 24 hours a day. Visitors get a free O2 mask to explore our warm waters. The benign marine life will welcome you to the big blue world under the sea. You can also use our complimentary flippers to partake in speed swimming. So come to Joe I Resort and leave your world and your troubles behind.
24 hours a day? That just gets hot.
Pokitaru.
I knew it.
Oh, come on. Switch off your nerd circuits and have some fun. Look, we'll go just long enough to pick up the O2 mask.
Perhaps the extra oxygen will help your brain to function properly.
Yeah, and maybe the salt water will rust your mind.
Burn. But that's it for Orxon. We are heading off to Gaspar next, actually. I'll see you all next time.